Hello again, my name's Alicia and this is my veggie patch that we put in a couple of months ago. It's the end of January and I thought I would do a quick little update. It is the evening, it's starting to get dark, but there's a bit of harvesting that needs to happen. And I just thought I would take you around and show you a few things as they're growing and how they're changing. And I've had a little bit of issues with some birds attacking my garden beds, obviously in the early hours of the morning. I've been putting some netting down, hoping that that would distract them. It did for the first 2 days, and I even found a little Halloween decoration, which is a scarecrow, just a little one, but I did notice that the birds stayed away for a couple of days. So I thought, I've cracked the code, it's all good. And then on the third day, they came back and destroyed my garden beds again. So they're just obviously like fishing through. Maybe it's the worms. I wouldn't have thought there was too many worms in these garden beds, but perhaps I'm wrong. And they are making a right royal mess. So when I'm waking up in the morning, they have just pushed all this mulch all over the place. I've cleaned it up for the day today, but it is completely covering my pavers and it is just a mess, as you can see from what I haven't cleaned up today, and all of the holes and divots that they are creating. I planted a whole heap of alyssum seeds along the front here the other day, so obviously they've dislodged all of those, and I put some leek seeds in the middle of my tomatoes, so that's not fantastic. But let's talk about the garden itself, because it's changed a bit since we last saw each other a little bit earlier in the month. And where should we start? Well, all of the chilies and capsicums, they're coming along nicely. There's lots of flowers on these. I've had to put a cage around that Roma tomato because it was starting to get a little bit unstable, and I wanted to keep the light on these chilies. My first jalapeno is changing to the red color. I've got the orange jalapeno. I picked all of the banana peppers, and I've got this one just trying to get a little bit bigger because I'm going to stuff those with like a cream cheese and bacon stuffing and bake them, which I think is going to be delicious. Finally got rid of the silver beet that I was saving the seeds for, that was the one off in that pack that I got from Bunnings, and the broccoli. I had 2 broccoli plants here, so they are now gone. My little nasturtium is not looking happy at all, but there is a seed that I noticed the other day, so I'm thinking I'm going to try and see if I can replant that and get this. I don't know what's happened because I have been keeping lots of water to it, but it's definitely not looking happy now. These are my 2 little blue butterfly peas. They have turned very much yellow, so I'm not sure what's going on with them because I have been watering them. And my asparagus ferns have got little flowers on them, which is super cute. Love that. The peach sunflower, I took one off to collect some seeds, but apparently they need to be pollinated properly first, so I don't think it had the proper seeds, but I've got a lot of heads which I'm just going to leave on now. Apparently when the birds start eating them, that's a good sign that they're ready to go. But I've taken one off, and what have I got? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I think there's a couple starting down there. So that's exciting. And I also planted these sunflowers, which I'm not sure whether they were supposed to get taller than that, but they just were stumped because I had them in pots for too long. But they've been a perfect size for there. All of these flowers are coming along nicely. Got lots of cute little colour now coming up in this space to attract all those pollinators. So just a bit of a cottage mix that I threw in here. The 3 cucumbers that I bought from Bunnings, they're the continental ones. They're coming along nicely with lots of buds and flowers. And this is the bumblebee, which has got a lot of, I'm assuming that's the blight on these leaves. But very interesting to see how thick this vine is. Like, it's even exploding in parts. Like, these sort of like little bumpy parts have sort of exploded in bits. And it's just a really big, oh, I'm gonna have to take that off because that looks like it's choking at that little clip there. But very different from the yellow pear, which is very dainty. And I've had to cut a lot of leaves off this one as well. With all this, I believe, blight, but if I'm wrong, please tell me what it is. And this is what I'm referring to with this sort of exploding in this thick stem of these tomatoes. This pumpkin's coming along well. Haven't had any more female flowers come up on this vine. This one over here is the one that, if you saw my short that I did about the female that came out and the 3 male flowers, well, that one actually didn't pollinate properly. So I've got this one, but I'm not too confident because it looks like it's going a pretty yellowy colour. So I'm not sure, and I did pollinate that one myself as well. And there's one there that doesn't look very promising either. That looks like it's turning yellow. This one looks promising. And then there's another one over here. There it is. So you're 1, 2, and 3, but that one definitely looks like it's stopped growing and is turning yellow. So I'm having a lot of trouble. This is the butternut pumpkin. The spaghetti squash, that looks like it's stopped growing to me. And the other spaghetti squash not really doing anything. These guys I just don't think aren't getting enough sunlight. The acorn pumpkin looks good, but again, I don't think it's going fast enough because it's just not getting enough light. Even though we did cut this olive tree right back to give it more light in the afternoon. The corns, I think these guys are ready to pick. I'm not sure whether they actually pollinated. I can't really feel any kernels in there, but I think we're at the point where we need to sort of pull them back and see if there is anything in there. And then I've got the 2 on either side have got their flowers now emerging. This one's the next one that's going to go, so that's exciting. And you can see the little corns poking out on the stem there as well, ready to be pollinated. And then this was exciting the other day. I had no idea that this was here because it was stuck in the rose bush here. But one of the little baby boos looks like it must have got pollinated, even though I don't know how the bees found it because it was well and truly hidden. Because I've cut this one right back just to give again more sunlight to this area. Is this spider mite? I'm assuming this must be spider mite. I've heard a lot of people talk about that for their beans, and my son's bean that he had from school, like, it looks good here, but then like the vines are all dying, which is really sad. And that one's confused, obviously. This one must know it's near the end of the season, so this one's had its little hairs come out and it's got like a little pod there, but obviously nothing pollinating it because it didn't have any of these flowers come out the top. So that'll be interesting to see what happens with that. And I planted some green beans, which I think I'll place them in replacement of the other beans. They're the pink Berkeley tie-dye tomatoes, which I've got to get in, and a couple of extra of the chilies that I never had space for. This one is the speckled Roman. And then I thought this was funny. I was looking at this the other day. I mean, this production of these tomatoes is just fantastic. But this was supposed to be, or these seeds were from the same plant as this one over here. But there's a definite difference between these trusses. They're round, these round ones. And then these are more like your traditional beefsteak tomato, they look like to me, like just small versions. Lots of cucumbers. I obviously got a very concerned at the start of the season with the production level, but they are coming along really well. Not looking too healthy, but that plant's like gone all the way up, whereas this plant over here, planted at the exact same time, very much stunted. These back beds, the two back beds, get very much less light during the day than what the front beds do, which is why I put the chilies and the tomatoes in these front beds. We've got a couple of the peaches finally ripened. However, I'm going to say they weren't as spicy as I was expecting them to be from the description. The tigerellas, not huge. The Cherokee purple finally starting to ripen, so I'm going to pick that tonight so that the birds don't get it. There's a couple of Romas. We've had a few of the Black Russians, but I'm going to do Tasmanian chocolate next year because apparently they're very similar, so I'd like to, but more prolific, much better yield. These two little late tomatoes that I've put in are taking their time. I'm not sure that they're going to have any time to produce anything, which is a bit sad. One was supposed to be a green one and one was supposed to be the Roman speckled. Dill has gone to seed. I've got a new area that I think I'm going to put all my herbs in. However, we bought a structure to put them in and they sent it to us without any of the screws and bolts and all the things that you need to actually put it together. So that's a little annoying. My strawberries, I made the painful decision to cut all the strawberries off so that the leaves could get a little bit bigger because the strawberries were so little. And I think that that's done two things. Yes, it's produced lots of leaves, which is very exciting because then the strawberries will have a little bit of more protection and they can hide a bit longer. And I just noticed there's some strawberries there. So from now on, I think I'm going to actually let the strawberries grow. But it's also thrown out runner after runner after runner. So I'm going to have all these new strawberry plants, which is so exciting. So just by cutting all of the strawberries off. Here's my little meadow sweet. I cut all the yucky leaves off that because it was getting eaten by something, but it is looking lush and beautiful now. The little butter bean that I can pick. And this is the rose that never flushed more than once in a season, and this is now the third new growth spurt that we're getting, so hopefully we get a couple more flowers from that one. The other one that's always had new flowers, that one's ready for its third flush as well to come out, so that's exciting. This bed we took out a few of the carrots. I've planted some, oh look, I didn't even notice that. These are the cucumbers from Aldi. So I planted a couple of extras in there and another Roma with obviously a lot of blight that I need to cut off. The amaranth is coming along nicely, so that's actually getting some good growth on it. And then these are the white pancake squashes, which haven't had any female flowers either yet. And I took my kids berry picking the other day and made some raspberry jam and chocolate raspberry jam. And the gentleman was selling some strawberry plants, so I thought because I had cut all the strawberries off the ones I had, I might get theirs. I like to have little mementos and memories of things that we've done, to always remember those moments, especially when they're good fun. So I decided to put it in one of my old colanders. It's got pre-done drainage, and I saw Jamie Oliver actually had those in his garden, in his greenhouse. I was going to have it hanging down from this structure, but I'm only 5 foot tall, so it was fine for me, but for my 6 foot husband, he would knock his head on it. So then I went to put it on this structure, which would have been perfect to have it just hanging down in that space. But these are very flimsy and they would just snap with the weight of the soil and the strawberry plant. It's just too risky. I need to get these guys in as well. They're my sun golds. So not huge, but they look a lot healthier than the other two that I did plant. I think I planted the other two a little bit too prematurely. A couple of flowers on this side as well. Borage, not looking the happiest, but it is getting some new flowers on it all the time, even though it doesn't look the best. There's the purple Cherokee from that side. These are big tomatoes. And why do they split like that? What is that? Is that because they haven't been watered enough? I have noticed that some of the tomatoes are very tough on the skin, and apparently that's from infrequent watering. So I'm going to have to be much better at that next year. Potato and beetroot. So this is my golden zucchini, who's finally got some little tiny golden zucchinis. Yay! There's actually 3 there, 3 females. This is the Black Beauty, and there's 1 there. There was 3, but those 2, I think 1 was hitting this pole because I'm doing this vertically, training this up vertically, so I think it was hitting that pole and that's made it unhappy, and the one next to it looks like it's unhappy. Not looking like we're going to get any raspberries. Maybe next year. Sweet potatoes are doing fabulously. Really want to get some of these leaves in a stir fry soon. And the 3 Lebanese zucchinis, no females on those either, but they've settled in nicely. And I can't believe this. This is the first time I've had more than 1 out at a time of this beautiful cafe au lait. So we've even got this 3rd little one's just come out today, and that bud behind it not far behind. So they're just absolutely beautiful. And I have planted a few extra seeds of a few bits and pieces. Some things that I hadn't had any success with, like fennel, for example. Because Happy Valley Seeds were having a $1 sale, I bought a few of their packets of things that I was having some trouble with. And look at this. I've got 4 fennel seeds have germinated there. And I bought a couple more dill as well. They have a slow bolt, more foliage on their dill. And because I was doing the dilly pickles, that is perfect for me to have more of the leaves. And I bought a couple of little other flowers and things to go in the front part of the garden beds. And I decided to plant some sweet corn. No germination from those so far. So that is disappointing because I'm going to miss the window now for production to be before it starts to get cold. And I planted a couple more of the pink bumblebees because they were sent accidentally when I wanted the pink Berkeley tie-dye tomatoes. And 3 of those have now germinated, but very tiny. And I think, again, they're not going to have time to have any production before it starts to get colder, unless I can get a greenhouse. If I can get a greenhouse, then I can put them in there and I might have some success. But the greenhouse I want is from Costco, and they only have it in stock at certain times. So if they don't have it in stock in time and the cold weather comes through, we'll miss out on that window. And then a whole heap of holy basil. I put a whole heap in. That is one thing that I have learnt, is I was like, I only need 1 plant. But the problem is you rely on 1 seed and then something happens and you lose that seed. So I just went crazy with these and planted a whole heap in there. So yeah, I planted a whole heap of the holy basil, and the success is obviously there, and hopefully that means that we can actually enjoy that instead of it being destroyed by too hot, a slug, whatever. So many predicaments that you just don't think of when you plant seeds. You just think, oh, this is going to be great, and then all of a sudden it's very disappointing, and then you've got to start all over again. And then timing is not always on your side either. We are about to hit 3. It could even potentially be more. I've only seen the forecast up until Tuesday, but 3 very hot days in the very high 30s, and the garden is not going to love it. We're very blessed in Melbourne, where usually we might get 1 or 2 hot days and then we'll have a cool change. Not this time. So there's going to be a bit of a run, and that will put a lot of stress on the garden. I have my umbrella, and I put that up just to help out so that everything can have a bit of a rest and reprieve from the hot sun. If it's overcast, it's fine. But if it is sun blaring down, there is a substantial noticeable burn and just strain that's put on the plants. So I think that's a really quick tour at the end of January. Thanks so much for watching. Please answer any of the questions that I've asked throughout the video if you've got the answers to them, because I'm learning every day. I have finally bought a journal so that I can start journaling some of these things, like when I need to plant things and how many more I need to plant next year, just so that I can remember all the things that I've gone through this summer. This is my first ever time doing my veggie patch, so I have learnt so much, but I'm actually really excited to get the Brussels sprouts, broccoli, cauliflower. I've even bought broccoli leaf plant just to eat the leaves in like stir fries and Italian dishes. So I'm just so excited to have that change of season and potentially starting those seeds very soon, which is just crazy because, you know, all these seeds were started back in August. So September, October, November, December, 5 months ago. Where does the time go? Oh my goodness. But very exciting that there's always something that you can do in the garden. Had my broccoli sprouts, loved those. If you saw my short about that, they are more nutritious than a broccoli head and so easy to eat. We just did some gorgeous chicken burgers and I just put them on there and I ate some raw by themselves. Delicious. So thanks so much for watching. Take care. Hope your gardens are doing really well as well. It's getting dark. You can see that the lights have now turned themselves on, so I need to get picking some of these tomatoes so that the birds don't get them in the early hours of the morning. Take care, guys, and I will speak to you in the next video. Bye.